If you don't mind, we'll continue with what we were talking about yesterday, which is it possible to be totally awake, aware? And if you will allow me, I'll talk about it for a little while. Then you can have a dialogue about it. And we are only going to talk over together, what does it mean to be aware, totally. And if you don't mind, I won't answer any other question except that. Because I think if we could go into this very deeply, we will find out how to look at ourselves. And from that observation, one begins to see what is the meaning of knowing oneself. Because without knowing yourself, you have no basis for action. Without knowing yourself, one wanders around with all kinds of absurd ideas, commits oneself into all kinds of activities, caught in various traps. So I think it is very important if we could go into this question of what does it mean to be totally, completely aware. And I think most of our questions will be answered in the discovery for ourselves what it means to be aware. May I go into that way? Would you allow me? First of all, one can see the importance of being a light to oneself. It doesn't mean to cling to some idea that one has discovered or experienced a light in oneself. But that comes about by understanding fully, deeply what awareness means. I'm going to talk it over with you first, and then please question. Let's talk it over, have a dialogue together. I don't think awareness can be practiced. If you practice it, then it becomes mechanical. Right? That's simple enough. It's like a man who plays the piano. If he practices it all day long, he might practice the wrong notes. So, the awareness implies no practice at all. It is free observation, without any distortion, without any bias, without any prejudice, without any conclusion. Free observation and exposition. Not only observation of the world around one, and also from the outer observation move inward. Because unless one understands the outer very carefully, merely starting with the inner awareness may be distorting, may be illusory, may be non-factual. So whereas observing the outer, your reactions to the outer, whether you are a Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, British, American, whatever that is. So, if you are conditioned, as most of us are, and if you look at the outer with those conditioned mind, then you can't observe freely. So, so awareness implies that one is conditioned, and from that conditioning we have created the world. The moral, ethical, cultural, political, religious world, as well as the psychological world, right? We are conditioned by our culture, by the society in which we live, which we have created, and we are conditioned by the religions, by the priests, by the family, the tradition of war as the tradition of God, as the tradition of rituals. We are conditioned by the name, by the connotation attached to that name. All this is a form of conditioning. Now, just a minute. So the human being conditioned, beginning, and then he conditions it. He conditions himself through greed. And then he creates a society which helps him to be greedy. Right? This is simply logical. So, it is an interaction between the outer and the inner. It is not outer is different from the inner. It's interaction, constant ebb and flow. Clear, isn't it? So, we're asking, is it possible to be aware of one's conditioning? Totally. Both the conditioning of the conscious mind as well as a deep-rooted conditioning of which one may not be aware at all. And we're going to deal with both. Please, I'm talking because now, so as to go into it, you're going to discuss it with me afterwards. I will stop it after a certain time. So, is it possible for a human being, without a motive, if a human being has a motive to examine and be free of that conditioning, that very motive is born out of his past conditioning? I wonder if you see that. We'll discuss it. If I have a motive to be free of my conditioning because I have pain or fear or this or that, the motive is born out of my conditioning. And so the motive dictates how I observe my conditioning, right? You see the importance of this. So I must observe my conditioning, whatever it is, good, bad, indifferent, mediocre, and excellent, whatever it is. I must examine it, look at it without any motive. Because I see the logic of it, the reason of it. Because where I have a motive, that motive is the outcome of my conditioning, and that motive dictates further conditioning, modifying it or changing it a little bit here and there, but that motive being born out of my conditioning operates on further conditioning. That's clear. So is it possible for me to observe without any motive? See what we are doing, going step by step into it. Is it possible for me, for one, to observe without any motive? if one sees the logic of it, the truth of it, that is, a motive born out of my conditioning still maintains the conditioning. Do you and I see the truth of it? When I do, the motive disappears. I don't have struggle against it. Entendu? Right? If I have a motive to be free of my conditioning, that motive is dictated by the desire to be free of my trap in order to be something else. To be something else is born out of my conditioning. To be something else is the reaction to my conditioning, dictated, directed by the motive. That's clear. May I go on? Huh? Please, we are going to discuss this with me. Have a dialogue with me. So, one asks, is it possible to be free of motive? All motives, not just one motive. And that is only possible if I see the movement of a motive. Right? How the motive is born, what its actions are, what its responses are, how that very motive curtails, limits further examination. Therefore, seeing the truth of that, the motive, all motives disappear. I wonder if you see this. We're going to discuss this together. Have a dialogue. So, now, the very fact having no motive gives freedom of observation. Right? Right? Now one observes, that is, having no motive, I'm becoming aware of my consciousness, right? Of one's consciousness. So, in becoming aware without motive, and therefore no choice in the observation of my conditioning, because the motive dictates the choice. I wonder if you see all this. Huh? We'll discuss it. So there is no choice in observation. Observation then is freedom to look. The motive is the factor of the past. Motive is the past, right? The motive is the observer. Without the motive, there is no observer. Are we getting something of this? Yeah? You're following? So, mind is free to observe without any choice, without any motive, because I see a choice is the outcome of my conditioning, motive is the outcome of another form of conditioning. So, seeing the truth of that, there is freedom to observe without the observer. Huh? We'll go into it later. So, there is an observation only. No correction, no direction, no suppression, they're just observation. I observe, there is an observation, not I observe, there is an observation of authority, one of our conditioning. Authority implies fear, conformity, imitation, obedience, following somebody. Much more is involved in that. Authority of one's own experience, authority of one's own knowledge, or the authority that has been imposed through society and so on and so on. So, in the observation of authority, that is the art of observation, please follow this, the art of observation is to see that authority has a certain place. Doctors, medicine, technology, but authority has no place in the field of which we call the psyche, right? I have put, art means, as we said at the beginning, to put everything in its right place, right? See the beauty of it, sir, to put everything where it belongs, not through choice, but through observation. I've got, right? Right, I'll go on. There are better road beds, and therefore they're going faster, more noise. So authority has its right place. I observed it. There is an observation of it. And there is fear. I'm just we're taking few of the contents of our consciousness, of which we are becoming aware. Fear has its right place, which is the fear to protect the instrument, the organism, and has no other place. You understand? Pleasure. And how thought pursues pleasure. We went into all that. And what is love? What is sorrow? We went into all that. So, is there a possibility of being aware the whole of it at a single observation and not take fragment by fragment? Because they are all interrelated. They are not separate. They are not fragments which exist by themselves. They are all interrelated, acting upon each other. So in this observation, is it possible to observe totally the whole movement? You understand? It is possible only when we understand the meaning and the significance of thought. Thought, experience, knowledge, stored up in the brain as memory, and the action of that memory, thought. So again, the art of giving thought in its right place and no other. Now, we are asking, is it possible to be aware of this total movement as a single unit, or must you go through fragmentary observation of the fragments? That's one point. Second point is, can the conscious mind investigate the unconscious, the deeper layers of consciousness? You understand my question? That's part of observation. That's part of being totally, completely aware. As most of us are educated to live on this superficial conscious level, we find it awfully difficult or impossible to open up, not to a psychologist or psychotherapeutic, to ourselves, to open up everything. Because again, if we have understood fear, then it is possible to open. You understand? If you have gone into the question of pleasure, love, suffering, death, then the whole carved, the whole hidden things are exposed. You don't have to go after them, but they come out. Have you understood any of this? Right? So having no motive, there being no direction, and so no choice, there is a total awareness. You get complete awareness. Why the Russians are behaving that way? Why the British, the Americans, the Hindus, why religions are this way? Because you have observed the outer very carefully, how you are trapped by the gurus, because you want to find out something. You are eager, when one is very young and fresh and innocent and wanting to enthusiastically find out, there comes along some man who says, I'll tell you all about it, and you are caught. To be aware of all that. Which means to be aware of your desire being, we went to will and so on, desire with its illusions, which is to follow somebody who is going to give you the light. To practice something, hoping thereby that you will have this extraordinary delight or ecstasy, joy. Ecstasy, as we said, is a state of mind which is beyond the self. So, both consciously as well as deep down, there is a total awareness. Right? And from that total awareness in which there is no choice, there is complete action. To act without a motive, which is out of compassion. You get it? Which is out of clarity. And that compassion, clarity, gives the skill to operate, to function, to act. This is total awareness. Have you got, right? Now let's discuss it.
Are you actually doing that all the time?
Come here.
Are you actually doing that all the time?
So do it. I'm not asking you to do anything.
I'm asking you.
I'm not answering you. If you have listened very carefully, you will have answered it yourself.
Is there at the beginning a factual motive, a discontent, something real?
So Just listen. Can you be free of motive? Begin with that. Knowing a motive is born out of your conditioning. That conditioning dictates what kind of motive you have. That conditioning has come into being right from the time we are born, from the past, how millennia after millennia. It isn't just newly conditioned mind, it is the result of millennia's existence of man. Man has operated always with a motive of God, a country, all the rest of it. I don't go ahead. So, please first let us talk about this. First, this one thing. Is it possible for you to be free of a motive? If you have a motive, is that love? I'll put it round the other way, then perhaps we'll get together a little more clearly. When I love you, if I have a motive because I want companionship, sex, or I'm lonely, or you are nice, attractive, sensuously I would appreciate it. You follow? If I have any form of motive, can there be love? Find out. So, we are asking, after explaining the whole movement of motive, logically, sanely, have you a motive in observation? That's all. Let's stick to that one thing. If one has a son or a daughter, and you love them, but you say, yes, he must be an engineer, and she must marry the rich man, etc., etc. But is that love? Right? So ask yourself if in your observation of the world outside you and the world inside you, which we'll come to presently, are you free of a motive when you observe the world? The communists, their tyranny, what is happening in Russia, and there is the affluent society of America, and the amazing poverty of Asiatic countries, including Africa. When you look at it, have you a motive? Wanting to help them? Wanting to feed them? Go on, say, examine it. Or have you a motive when you're a wife and a husband, girl and a boy? If you have, then you can't observe. That's simple fact.
Vous parlez d'un conditionnement plusieurs fois millénaire.
Comment?
Vous parlez d'un conditionnement qui est plusieurs fois millénaire.
Sur quoi?
Vous venez de parler qu'on est conditionné par plusieurs milliers d'années de culture. Oui. Vous voulez dire par là qu'on traîne avec nous une sorte d'inconscient collectif?
No, écoutez, no. Forget the culture. You see, we're going off. Have you a motive in your observation?
Si on veut être libre de conditionnement.
No, please begin with this. You will go into it a little later. Have you a motive when you follow your guru, if you have a guru? I hope you haven't. But if you have a guru, a long beard, brown, or a white man with a white beard, same thing. Have you, when you follow somebody, a guru, Have you a motive? Attendez, monsieur.
A me pare che senza motivo
Un,
casco nelle
un momento, per favore.
If I observe only because I want to understand, that is a motive.
That's a motive.
So, how to be
No, if you see the truth, that motive of any kind, righteous or pleasurable, any motive, is born out of your own conditioning, and you want to be aware totally of your conditioning, then motive prevents you from observation. That's all. That's a simple fact. Qu'est-ce que vous voulez?
I'm afraid that I know that all my actions have a motive. That is clear. But I'm afraid that without motive, without desire, I fall in indifference.
Dica in italiano.
Io capisco di avere dei motivi e che le mie azioni agiscono tutte sulla spinta di un motivo e
Sì,
quindi
sì.
di un desiderio. Ma a me pare che se io non ho questo, casco nell'indifferenza.
Yeah. He says, if I have no motive, I might fall into indifference. Is that so? Or are you imagining that you might fall into indifference? Because you have not seen the truth that the motive distorts observation. But you've already concluded that if there is no motive, the whole thing will collapse. But therefore, we have to talk over together the question whether it is possible to be free of a motive. Right? Not project what will happen without a motive. That's a clever trick to prevent oneself from having a motive.
Is not the principle of pain and pleasure the foundation of motive? That means the biological need for survival
Yeah,
begins with pain and pleasure.
we've said that, sir. Art is putting things in their right place. Not painting pictures, appreciating Picasso or Rembrandt or somebody else. Putting everything in its right place. Then the motive, which is to eat, right food, right diet, blah, 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 and yoga and all the rest of it, has its right place. It would be insanity to say, so proceed. After this talking over together, I'm going to stick to this one point till we completely understand this. Not understand, act. Which is, are you free from motive? Or you foresee that if you have a motive, if there is no motive, my God, what shall I do? Which is thought, see what has happened, thought, projecting what might be, and then that very thought is frightened of what might be, and therefore do nothing, carry on. Bene? So is there a possibility of observing without a motive?
I had a very strong urge to become more aware. So this very strong urge
No, sir, it is not. I want to be aware, right? I want to be aware. Why? Explore, look into it. Why do I want to be aware? You mean say when the house is burning, you are not aware? Right? The house is burning, isn't it? Unless you are totally blind, totally indifferent, completely consumed with your own activities, obviously you are not aware of what is happening, which is the essence of neuroticism. No? So, as the house is burning, your house, you mean so you're not aware of it? You're not aware of what is happening in Russia, in Italy, the chaos, Euro-communism, dictatorships, instruments of war, the tradition of war. For more than historically, there have been wars for 5,000 years, practically every day somewhere on the earth.
Pourquoi vous dites que la maison brûle et tout de suite après vous parlez d'eurocommunisme? Je ne suis pas du tout d'accord avec vous. Parce que vous présentez le communisme comme la vieille...
Non, je ne présente pas communisme quelque chose.
Mais si, vous parlez
No,
pas capitalisme,
I said communism, American, everywhere the earth is being destroyed.
mais oui, mais enfin, vous associez aussitôt après, vous dites la maison brûle, aussitôt après vient tout de suite le mot eurocommunisme.
No, écoutez, forgive me. I say the whole world, including Euro-communism, communism, Marxism, Leninism, Mao, every America, the whole, sir, don't pick up one word and throw a brick at it. The whole world is destroying itself. Human beings are destroying itself. It's an absolute fact.
Oui, mais la racine est aussi bien dans le monde occidental, dit le monde libre, hein, qui est piloté par la CIA, que dans le monde communiste, enfin socialiste.
So
Il n'y a pas à placer la responsabilité dans l'un ou parler plus d'un camp que de l'autre.
let's forget communism, Euro-communism, socialism.
Oui, mais enfin, vous en parlez.
I know. Yeah.
If I understand correctly,
But education is based on the motive of learning. So if I want to learn, there must be a motive.
Sir, look, of course, I want to learn mathematics or engineering, so as to, there is a motive, because that way I'll be able to earn a livelihood, right? Right? We said, put it in its right place. Gosh, you don't.
I understand correctly. What you want to say is that
Not what I want to say.
what you say is that a motive is each awareness. That is a fact. You see it or you don't see it. There's no starting point to see it. But it is a fact. That's why you gave the
So, if it is a fact to you, sir, are you free of motive to observe?
see the necessity.
I know.
To see the necessity. I am not free of motive, but I see the necessity.
No, not you see the necessity. I want to observe whether I love my wife or my girlfriend. Love. If I have a motive, is that love?
Puis-je vous poser une question? Je suppose que par motif, vous entendez la recherche des résultats personnels.
Non seulement personnel, mais I'm not only...
La recherche des résultats. Parce que vouloir est aussi un motif. Vouloir aider ceux qui souffrent, c'est-à-dire éprouver la compassion, c'est aussi un motif, mais ce n'est pas la recherche de
Then
résultats.
I'm afraid then we haven't understood at all what we've been saying. I want to observe my relationship, just keep to that one little thing. I want to observe my relationship to my wife, my girlfriends, or my children. I want to be aware of that relationship. If I have a motive, because my wife gives me sex, pleasure, comfort, cooks my meals, washes my etc., etc., and I say, I love you, darling, because you do all those things. Is that love? That's all. Let's stick simple thing, keep to that. And is it possible to have a relationship with a woman or a man without a motive?
Sir, if you say to a person, I love you, that's already a motive, because it excludes other persons. If you can say, I love, and that's enough. If you say, I love you, that means I don't love another one.
No. Sir, please, you're going...
Why you choose a wife or a boy that's like or dislike?
Sir,
That's a motive.
sir, most of us...
What's the reason that you choose a person? That's a motive. That's clear, isn't it? Because you like another person more than someone else.
Don't you?
Sir, how many people are couples here? Maybe 60, 70%?
Oh, for God's sake, sir, please.
And why? Because they have a motive.
So, sir, because of that motive, is there love? That's all I'm... Huh? You're saying...
When you say I love you,
No, no,
you
don't...
exclude other persons from your relationship. So you isolate yourself.
I'm asking, sir, you may love that one. Don't extend, I can't love all the others. Just keep...
Why not?
I don't know.
Yeah, but we're discussing it. Because you have a motive when you say I love you. Then
When you
something exclusive to that person.
In that exclusiveness, is there a motive?
Yeah, sure.
So, if there is a motive in that exclusive love of another, is that love?
No.
Therefore, that's all. Now, can you love that man or that woman without a motive? But what is the difficulty? Prego. Sì, sì.
Penso che occorrerebbe un'altra parola al posto di amore, in quel caso.
Qual è questa parola?
Non esiste, ma è un altro...
Oh, he wants to introduce another word instead of love. Oh, for God. Call it mud. So you are going off. You see how we refuse to stay with one thing and go through with it.
Well, what we're talking about is getting the total view.
What's up?
Yourself holistically.
Beg your pardon?
What we're talking about is getting the total view, seeing your life or your consciousness.
I'm sorry, I'm not. You're not looking at my life or your life. I'm just asking. I'm sorry, you're not answering.
I'm going to say something else. Now, you are the one putting the question, can you do something without a motive? Now, on the other hand, it's very clear that all of us are here because we have a motive. Well, different motives, but more or less it boils down to one thing. We want
Right, sir, right.
Which is one thing,
One at a time. One.
how can we get the total view?
First of all, you are not understanding me at all.
Well, I'm listening.
Not you only. Sir, please listen. Sorry,
All the time, all these abstractions
these are not.
back and forth. But we don't
Sir, would you mind? You have said enough.
don't be prejudiced.
Please, you have said enough, sir. I'm going to answer, if you will permit me, which is, you are not trying to understand what the speaker is saying. What the speaker is saying is look at yourself. That's all. To look at yourself, you must be aware. Not aware of what K is teaching you or telling you, but to be aware of what you are doing, why you are here, what is the motive behind your coming here. Are you aware of it? Do you know your motive? To understand K, the speaker, or in talking over together, you are understanding yourself. That's all. I made this very, very clear from the very beginning of when I began talking. But if you say, I'm here to understand you, I say, there is nothing to understand me. You are understanding empty words. So that's very clear. So let's go back to that. What is the motive that you are here? One. What is the motive in your listening? What is the motive when you want to find out? Look at yourself. What is the motive behind the desire that says, look at yourself? Please, may I beg of you to keep to this one point.
S'il vous plaît, est-ce que ce désir que nous avons de venir ici, que nous avons eu de venir ici, est-ce que c'est un motif? Est-ce que ce désir d'une certaine libération, de conditionnement, etc., est-ce que c'est un motif? Est-ce que ça ne serait pas l'essence même de l'homme, comme le parfum l'est pour la rose?
Yeah. The gentleman says, I come here because I feel a sense of liberation, freedom. So please, I'm not asking your personal motives for coming here. This is not a group therapy. I hope it is. I don't, no group therapy here. I'm asking you to investigate for yourself what is the motive. If you see the truth of this simple fact that when you have a motive, that motive is born of your conditioning, and you strengthen that conditioning. That's all. And therefore, you cannot be aware of your condition.
Ma perché anche se io lo vedo questo motivo? Perché io lo vedo e non succede nulla.
He sees the motive, but nothing happens.
Io so che vengo qui sulla spinta di un nuovo desiderio, a cercare un nuovo motivo più raffinato, che è la liberazione, che è quello che vuol lei.
Bene, bene,
Io lo
bene.
vedo, ma non succede nulla.
See, I come here each year with an urge to find a new motive, a refined motive, a different forms of the same thing, modified or continued. What shall we do? I won't move from this. You can move. Go away, get up and go. Perfectly right. You're free to do what you like. Outside the tent, not inside the tent. Because inside the tent we are responsible. So, I'm holding to this one fact. Do you, as a human being who is representative of all humanity, I repeat that over and over again, which is, the repetition becomes a lie if you repeat it without understanding it. Right? The speaker sees the fact. Therefore, his repetition is not propaganda, is not a lie, he's just showing you what it is. But if you take the words and repeat it, it'll be a lie. It'll be a hypocrisy. It won't be honest. But if you see it for yourself, that you are, as a human being, total essence of all humanity, there's great beauty in that. And if the question arose saying, what do you mean to be totally aware? Please explain it. I have explained it before the discussion began. What the speaker means, the perception of the whole. Holistic. The word holistic means something much more than the parts. And the something much more is not possible when you are holding on to parts. Which is, the part is my motive different from your motive. But if we are, both of us are free of motive, we can both walk, journey together. That's all. So, Monsieur Ortolani, etc., all the others, after listening to this very carefully, logically, sanely, are you free of motive? Don't answer me, find out. That is, if you want to, if you want to answer that question, is it possible to be totally aware? It's only possible when there is an observation. I'm afraid we can't hear, madame. On ne vous entend pas. Madame, je vous prie, we are talking about a motive, not about love. Do you see, does one see that where there is a motive, there is a distorting factor? That's all. So stick to something factual, not move into some other factors.
It is a fact of life, sir. It's a fact of life, sir, that we hate, that we're afraid, that we're aggressive, that we're violent. If we represent the whole of humanity, well, then we must have all those traits within us. And we are those things. We seem to come here, or I come here, to try in some way to resolve and reconcile those things. It seems to be that they are irreconcilable.
Look, my friend, if you are here to resolve your problem with the speaker's help, you are not going to be helped. Right? Simple fact. If you have a sexual, mental, fear, sorrow, any problem, they are not going to be solved with my help.
I agree.
And by talking over together, talking it over together, investigating together, exploring, then you yourself will help yourself. You are the humanity. That's all. So if this doesn't please you, for God's sake, don't come. Go to some guru, church, whatever you want, do whatever you want. But if you are here, and if you are serious, let us, both of us, meet on the same level, right? On the same level, at the same time, with the same intensity, right? Which is love. Otherwise we won't meet. So, would you speak a little louder, sir?
You said that the house is burning and you went to work. Now, if one sees that, you might get a total awareness out of it. But how first do you get people to see when the world is on fire?
How does one see the house is burning?
Because once you are in front, once you get caught by a car or something like that, you see that and you react. But isn't the problem that people just are so caught up in that condition that they don't see the fire?
How does one see the house is burning? The newspaper tells you every morning. The radio tells you every evening. The televisions show you exactly what is happening. The daily and the news are printed all over the page, right? And if you don't see the house is burning, there's something is amiss.
Now, one might say people get caught in the fire rather than alone. On the other hand, why would you say that once people see, they are totally aware?
No, we haven't understood each other, sir. Let us drop the house burning and look at something else, which is, are you here with a motive? Yes. What is that motive? Don't tell me. What is the motive? Find out. If the motive is to follow the teachings of K, then you are totally taken the wrong direction. But if you come here with a motive to understand and talk over together, to solve the problems not according to me, but observing yourself totally, that motive will disappear and you will understand yourself. Comment? I can't hear, sir. Pray louder, sir.
Once somebody sees that the house is on fire,
I said leave the house on fire. I said, what is the motive you are here? What? Don't tell me, but find out, etc. Sir, please sit down, sir. I've repeated this 100 times. Either it is the difficulty of language, Motive means move, a momentum, an elan, a drive, a desire, all that is implied in the word motive. Move. What makes you move? Fear? Sorrow? Your ignorance of yourself? Then if that motive, which is the drive, momentum, and you are here, then let us talk it over together. Not that you are copying K or following his teachings or this or that, because I am not your guru. Don't be a follower of anybody. But in talking over together, you see yourself. See yourself totally. That is to be totally aware of yourself. Then when you are totally aware of yourself, there is no problem.
I would like to say, I cannot live without a motive, but I wish I could. That's all I want to say. It's impossible for me to love without a motive, but I wish I could do it.
Qu'est-ce qu'elle dit?
She cannot live without motive, but she wishes to do it. She cannot live.
You cannot live without a motive, but wishes to live without a motive. See the contradiction. See the contradiction. I want to live without a motive, but I have motives. Therefore, there is conflict. Right? And if you like that conflict, carry on. And if you see the futility of that conflict, you examine both. Why you have motive, how the motives are born, the desire, the urge, the compulsion, the drive, the momentum that makes you do something. And the other, which is merely a verbal communication, which has no reality. What has reality is your motive. And when you see that motive is born out of your conditioning, therefore strengthen the conditioning. If you like it, carry on. Quelle heure est-il?
35, 11:35.
Basta, no? Isn't that enough for this morning?
S'il vous plaît. La difficulté, c'est que le motif n'est pas simple. Le motif, il est souvent complexe et on a du mal à l'analyser clairement, comme vous le faites.
Is a motive complete?
Complexe.
Motive is a very complex.
Comme on doit l'analyser dans l'obscurité,
No, don't analyze it. For God's sake, don't analyze it. Just look at it. Look, sir, please, just listen to me. Why do I talk? Why do I go through this? For over 50 years I've done this. Why? What is my motive? I'm going to answer. Listen to it. What is my motive? If I have a motive, you understand? Which would be to help you, to see that you are free of sorrow, to see that you love. And then I would fight with you, force you, compel you, right? I would play all kinds of tricks with you, offer you heaven, right? And I won't do that. for a very simple reason that together we're going to look. We have created the world together. Man and woman, baby, that also. But the world, society, morality, political structure, the economic structure, and so on, we have created together. So please, together. That means you have to look at yourself, because yourself is the whole universe. Yourself is the whole of humanity. Therefore, if you follow somebody else, you are not a human being. Look at yourself, who is the whole of humanity. Because that man whom you follow is only taking a part, a segment, a tiny little observation. We are looking at the total observation. Right? That's enough for today.